PLEx, personalized learning experience.
A personalized learning experience.
Personalized learning experience.
A personalized learning experience.
Personalized learning experience.
Well, PLEx is above all an opportunity for students to take ownership of their own learning.
It's an opportunity for ICS to see how we can better match the future.
It's a snapshot of what education could become.
PLEx is just this amazing idea that ICS came up with of giving the students the ability to choose what they want to do. It's this 5-week period where us students can choose any topic that we want, pursue it, and try to create something that we're proud of, and most importantly, learn during the process.
Well, PLEx is the ICS iteration of a personalized learning experience. It is an experience that our teachers have designed to maximize student choice and student voice in their own learning experience. It is based on the theory that when students are engaged in a personalized experience, that they are a personal quest that they are interested in and passionate about, that they are going to commit more time, more energy, dig deeper, learn more, because they're actually interested in the topic, than if they are simply handed down the topic and saying you must learn this.
A lot of what school has been based around is the Industrial Revolution, and that's where everybody is in these, has a task that they have to do, and they have to do that successfully in order to move on to the next task, in order to be successful with the next task. And we want our students to be far, far broader and deeper than that.
We challenge daily by holding students' attention. And if we go off the Industrial Revolution of a factory production where students come in, they sit down, they listen to one type of piece of evidence, they learn it, and we assess it, we move on, it doesn't fit with our generation of students and learners coming through. The access to information, the use of technology allows students to gain all this information. Our teachers are competing with video games, movies, interactive. So one person trying to hold learners' attentions now is almost doomed to fail from the start.
There's no one way for students to learn. Each of us learn at our own pace. Each of us learn through our preferences. Allowing and opening this floor to our learners would enable us to see different types of outcomes. Students would demonstrate their learning the way they want it, not the teacher saying you have to do it this way. No, there's not only one way. They could demonstrate a concept using the way and their interest and their passion.
My PLEx project was, of course, creating a video game, and there were many different ups and a lot of downs while creating this. This is something that I've been interested in ever since I was little. Ever since I was little, I was playing video games, and I played so many video games throughout my whole life. And I've always wondered, hey, how do you make these? I want to make one. I want it to be really cool. And from that just little spark of interest, I continued with this. So what happened was, in just a short 4-week period, or 4 or 5-week period, I had to do a lot of work of learning how to create one, figure out what type of game I wanted to make, and actually make it.
In the 21st century, we find that memorizing rote knowledge isn't as important as learning how to learn. And so if students get to choose what they learn, they'll be more excited to learn it, and then they're still learning the skills of learning how to learn.
More and more, we're going to need people who can think for themselves, take initiative, and not simply wait to be told what to do, robots will be doing more work. So we need people who can think, who can be alive to the enterprise, think for themselves, collaborate, communicate, etc. And this is what PLEx is really about, sowing that seed for inquiry and initiative at an early age.
If we want workers that can engage in the economies of tomorrow, whatever they may be, they need to have skills of communication, adaptability, problem solving, and critical thinking, whether it be creative or very structured.
Education system is based on how can you do well at math and how can you do well at literacy. And there is this sort of perpetuated myth that if you do well at those two things, you're going to be successful for the rest of your life. And yet we know that in our society we have artists and we have engineers and we have people who have to design for the future. And those are not based on pure mathematical or literacy skills. A lot of the skills that we need for those are creative thinking, problem solving. And that doesn't come from sitting in a classroom reading a textbook. So an opportunity like the PLEx really opens up kids to start to learn how to do this. And I think the important bit here is start to learn. As we do PLEx, we're not going to see instant results of suddenly this child knows how to be creative or how to solve a problem perfectly. But we're giving the opportunity to start to learn.
When I wear my hat of IBDP coordinator, I think about the skills that our students need in order to be successful in the IBDP program. And that isn't just for ICS, but because we have such a transient international population, students going to other international schools around the world and who will encounter the IBDP. I think that a lot of the skills that they focused on are going to equip them incredibly well to be far more effective than if they didn't have to go through PLEx.
I decided to make a game based on Ethiopian history. I wanted to do this because I've always been interested in history, and since I'm Ethiopian, it only makes sense that I'm interested in Ethiopian history as well. But I've also been interested in computers ever since I was a kid, and I felt like making a game based on Ethiopian history would be a very good blend of those two. So that's why I decided to do it.
I would like to think of PLEx as our educational tip of the spear. It is from a research and development perspective in corporate world, our Skunks Works. It's where we are utilizing all the things that we believe are best practice in education, and we're creating this sandbox where we can play and our students can learn in a very, very progressive, innovative way. And kind of the epitome of maybe what we call highly effective and learning progressive. It's the intersection of both of those concepts.
It is a very different way of thinking and teaching, and it's not even teaching, it's a way of guiding learning, right? Because as a teacher, I'm not telling you what to do in PLEx, I'm asking you questions to deepen your understanding, to deepen your own questioning, to support the ATLs with critical thinking and research. And that's very different than coming to an answer of 2 + 2 is 4.
One of the things that we focused on as a group are called the approaches to learning, the ATLs. In the IB world, whether it's PYP, MYP, or DP, there are 5 ATLs that students are expected to work on as a learner. And we focused on 4 of those during PLEx. So our students had to engage with communication skills, research skills. They had to learn how to self-manage, which is another one of the skills. And we wanted our students to really be able to think analytically, to think independently, to think creatively, and that is another thinking skills is another part of that ATL.
Skills that turn into approaches to learning, to ATLs. We decided to keep them in all 3 divisions because we believe that this is important for students to to work through, to be aware of, to work through, and to assess themselves in these different skills. So all of these things we kept it kind of at the heart of PLEx.
There's 4 pathways: systems and structures, which is sort of STEM based, expression, so drama, artistic expression, personal development. So you're just sort of, your project's about sort of helping yourself out, I guess. And then citizenship. So some examples, one of my students was doing a project, her compelling question was, how do I help people in poverty in Ethiopia? And so she was in the citizenship pathway, and then another student was working on rockets, and then he switched it to hot air balloons and how to create like a model hot air balloon. So he was in the systems and structures pathway.
Well, I would say for students who are going to be involved in the IBDP program, whether here in a couple of years or next year or outside of ICS, they are going to be far better equipped because their brain has been challenged to function in a different way.
When actually starting to create this game, I had to, first of all, decide what type of game I wanted to make. There's such a big variety of them, and I wanted to think about, hey, what's easy and doable, but still fun and enticing. So I knew I had a bit of background in HTML and CSS, and just a slight little bit of JavaScript. I thought I could work on that and create something web-based or browser-based. And I knew from then on it would be a 2D platformer, kind of like Mario. I really like those games, and I kind of based it off that. Your goal is to reach the end of the level where you'll find the star and you'll progress to the next. Creating this was a very big challenge, not only because of just the coding part, but also because the Wi-Fi wouldn't stop working over here. I have to download assets, and you can't do that without the internet. Learning how to code was a big part of this, not just creating it. I couldn't just go in and create it. I had to take some time just figuring out, okay, what do I want this sprite to do? Do I want to move left or right, jump? When do I tap? When do I defend? Things like that.
This is that balance between highly effective and learning progressive. So as educators, we have our map, which we want to ensure students are hitting along their way, but the way in which the students are hitting it is through their choice and their passions and their topics. So I guess it's a big paradigm shift in the way of the teachers not only coming up with trying to identify a topic or a point of passion, it's now the students have a passion, and the teacher is now the facilitator of, okay, we're going to bring these skills in, but it's through facilitation rather than, okay, this is what 26 students are going to do today. It's these two are looking at this passion, this is where they want to go. This student wants to do this, and it's that tracking of that highly effective. Are we meeting what needs to be met as well?
The celebration of learning in the ES, we called that Plexhibition, the exhibition of the personalized learning experience. Because grade 5 is already the model as to, putting it all together when it comes to PYP. So grade 4, 3, 2, 1, we also followed suit as sort of like an exhibition. So it included that celebration of learning, a final check-in interview with the teacher, and then students again reflecting.
Teachers are usually content experts. A high school social studies teacher is a high school social studies teacher. During PLEx, they're no longer a high school social studies teacher. They are a facilitator of learning. They are learning coaches.
I really love the idea of changing school this drastically. I think it's an amazing opportunity given to students to just choose their own learning, own their own learning, explore anything they want really. The school offers amazing facility, amazing teachers that became facilitators during this process, but I think, yes, on a student perspective, I think it's like a dream to be given such an opportunity.
I had to come up with my own ways of solving these problems. I had to create my own skill set to overcome challenges. without the help of others. And I think that's one of the biggest plus sides of PLEx, that it builds us as individual learners.
Moving in the direction of what the PYP is supposed to be, and giving students agency, and there being, students even creating their own lines of inquiry. I think PLEx was a step in the right direction.
Giving the choice to our student is something that we need to work towards too. Because the way I might see in a traditional system, am I standing in front of my students saying, oh, this is the way I want you to do this. But do they have other ways of demonstrating their learning? Yes, totally. So let's open that door, let's give them this chance and let them show us mastery of what they've learned.
I think that was probably our biggest problem, a logistical issue of, oh, you want to build a robot? Oh, how do we get that stuff for you?
One of the things that we know about the future is that we don't know anything about the future. And we can start predicting, but we have found that we've been wrong most of the times. The future is actually happening faster than we anticipated. The future is actually already here. But when you kind of project into the future, experts would identify certain skills as being those that are absolutely enduring, that will actually be needed in the future. And schools have to measure their programs against that. A question that I have continuously is, computational skills more important than coding? Is decoding, when you're talking about reading, decoding more important than comprehension? Right? If we have to spend our time and energy on certain things, are we going to spend them on things that the machine is already doing for us? Or are we going to spend time teaching and having kids learn things that are innately human, that are going to transcend the internet, going to transcend the machine? We're actually accessing the internet or accessing information online, or the machine, whatever that iteration is, learning how to do that, doing it well, doing it accurately, doing it ethically, doing it collaboratively, collaborating globally, communicating interculturally. Those are skills that are actually going to be far more important than having memorized our multiplication tables. PLEx is taking away some of those things that we deem non-essential and now really focusing on what we think are essential skills for the future. We're preparing our kids for not only the immediate future, but their careers.